Welcome to Black Muse, a conversation series celebrating the lineage, creativity, and ever-evolving expression of Black culture. My name is Doris Davenport, contributing correspondent. Black Muse is produced by Chicago West Community Music Center, founded by Howard and Darlene Sandifer, where the mission is to empower Black youth and uplift community through music, mentorship, and the continued creation of Black music. Today, we're exploring jazz as a border-crossing language with world-renowned flautist Steve Flowers, and how his flute work makes that audible. Hello, and welcome to Black Muse Podcast.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. My pleasure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get right into it. I have a number of questions I want to ask you, and we want to make sure that the audience really gets a chance to know who you are and how your work is impacting the students that you're working with through the Reimagining Jazz 10-week series here with Chicago West Community Music Center. So let's just start with how your work spans classical rigor and jazz improvisation, a synthesis that, frankly, if I'm honest, not many players achieve. How did jazz enter your life, Steve, and why the flute as your primary voice?
That's a great question. It's really interesting. In my upbringing of being involved in African American culture, my mom and dad would listen to, big band music, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and the big band music that I grew up on and I really appreciated. But in some of the big band stuff that guys like Frank West and James Moody doubled on saxophone and flute. And the flute really fascinated me, the sound, the texture of the instrument. So I became very much interested in that voice early in life, listening to the flute and wanted to learn how to play it.
How old were you when you first picked up a flute, even for play?
Wow. I started late in music, really late. I took music on the high school level, and I started at Orr High School, which is located on Pulaski and Chicago Avenue, Northwest Side, and I took band. And ironically, I wasn't really interested in band, but it was a prerequisite. I had to take band in order to get the credit, to graduate from high school. So I chose.
We had it then as an option.
Yes, ma'am. And I chose the smallest instrument in the band, even though I had been listening to it at an early age. I chose the smallest instrument because my peers would tease me, and I was kind of shy. I didn't want my brothers and sisters in the community to know I was in band or I played something like the flute, because flute was considered really a feminine type instrument during that time. It probably still is now. So that's how I really got into it. I learned how to play in the high school level with Dr. Bollerman at that time at Orr High School. And I think I took it for just a couple of years. And that transcended into me going to college and not knowing what was going on. I decided to major in music, and I got involved with the Northeastern Illinois band program and auditioned for a flute spot in the concert band.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really horrendous too, going back in memory, because it was like about 25, 30 flutes in the band, and I was the 30 or 31st flute. Very last one. And some of the other members in that ensemble, the concert band, they had way more experiences than I had. They owned handmade flutes like Haynes or Pearl, and they took lessons on the elementary level. And I didn't have that experience. I just joined band and learned how to play flute pretty much on my own, and what the band director was sharing with me. So I was the very last flute in that ensemble, and really interested. Not to be long-winded, they were the first and second flutes. They would look back at me and laugh at me, laugh and inform me, because they had many more experiences than I had at that time. So I went home and I cried.
Mm.
I cried. I had a cheap flute, a combined heart open flute, which is very low end, and I decided to get the last line, and I put a lot. I practiced and practiced right here on the west side of town, right across the street from the Godfrey Park Conservatory. That's where I live and grew up in this community. So I practiced throughout the whole summer with my friends and brothers, my sisters and uh, cousins. They were partying and dancing and doing the jerk and the twine time and all those things, while I was in the basement practicing, sweating and getting frustrated. And pretty much, I think that was the turning point when I came back to the university the next sophomore year. The band director, which is Dr. Gangware, he took his head, real big at it. He took his head down. He couldn't believe my improvement. And he said that, what you been doing? He said, so I moved up from the 30th flute to the 9th flute in the concert band.
Wow, that is amazing. I cannot help but smile outside and inside listening to that story, especially when you talk about being laughed at for having the smallest flute because it was a feminine instrument. Because frankly, when I listen to that story of struggle, I think about what it's like to wrestle with God through an issue. I think about what it's like to wrestle through experiences and circumstances with a partner in a relationship.
Yeah.
And the flute is very much like that. It makes me want to know more about maybe some of your earlier influences that helped you to translate breath into emotion.
Yes. Some of my early influences, Herbie Mann was the main influence. Hubert Laws, the great Hubert Laws, James Moody, Frank West, and there's so many great artists, great flutists who doubled on saxophone and flute, but they were very influential for me to listen and learn and try to incorporate some of my identity with that piece of pipe or that flute that I had at the time.
Learning how, I mean, you have a way, some people can pick up the flute. My sister played the flute. She was in band. She played the clarinet as well, doubled up. But there is a certain, your breath, like guitar players, and we've seen some great guitar players, what they can do with those strings.
Yes.
What you are able to do with that little, what's the longest flute?
Uh,
I just did press for the Lion King, and they have the woman in the Lion King plays 6 different types of flutes.
yeah, I mean, you have the piccolo, which is the baby soprano instrument of that family. Then, which I have one, not with me. Then I have the C flute, which is a little bit larger, and then we have the alto flute, which is a little bit larger than that. And then extending even further, we have the bass flute, which is like a huge instrument that curves around, and quite obviously it's the bottom voice or the bass voice in the flute family.
And what do you play?
I play really all of them, but I own 1, 2, 3, 4 flutes. I own the piccolo, handmade piccolo, and I brought my not my Burkhart, which I brought today for the session, and that's a C flute, very expensive. I paid $10K for it, $10,000 for that flute on the floor there. I heard it about a year ago, and I said, let me go and do something crazy. I bought it. I bought it, and thank God I paid cash for it.
Amen. And I hope it's insured.
Yes, it is. It's insured. And then the instrument I started a number of years ago, I have a professional horn, a Yamaha, a 881 professional series Yamaha with a gold head joint. The head joint is made by Powell Flute Company, but it's infused with a gold. It's a gold and silver head joint, which is what I blow into. And the head joint did not come with that flute at the time, so I ended up buying that head joint, and just the head joint cost me about $1,500.
Wow.
Just for me.
That's a sacrifice. But you know, when you're crafting, when you want something that you can craft a distinct sound with, you need those kinds of specialized instrument. And your sound, I mean, known for being warm and lyrical and rhythmic, it is unmistakably yours. You have a very distinct sound. How do you think about tone when you're teaching the students? It's emotional, technical, spiritual, all of the above. What do you think about tone?
Sound is important in everything we do. In a relationship, a man and a woman listens, and you meet a guy and he's talking real fast. You can understand what he's saying, and what's going on. Slow down. Flute, or any instrument you might play, the sound and the intonation is crucial. And I found out early in life when I kept perfecting my sound and going over things, being long tones and long tones, I found out from a spiritual point of view, the more focused the sound is, the more clarity you have, the more people can hear, and you touch them in a very, very special way through sound. And I found that out, and by the reaction I get when I perform at a venue, a live performance, and people come to me and say, "Man, your sound is unbelievable." So I put a lot of emphasis in the actual the focus of the sound, the core sound, and I try to get a real centered sound so each pitch has its own identity. So if I'm playing a major scale, 2 octaves, 8 and 8, 16 pitches, I feel each note that I play, I want to make sure that that each pitch has its own identity, a focused sound. So a lot of times when I do my warm up and practice, if the sound is not there in all the notes I might play, then I have to go back and just slow down and make sure I get a real focused and centered sound, because that's the essence of it all. I can have all the bebop phrases and all these fancy phrases and all that, but if the sound is not there, you're not really doing anything. So I was able to learn early in life, putting a lot of time in sound production of my instrument, that was really the hook.
Well, you talked about the different flutes that you own, the piccolo, and what was that?
The C flute, yeah, two.
The C flute, but if somebody gave you a call and said, "I want you to join my group, we like your sound, and we want you to be, I want you to be part of this arrangement that I've created," how do you decide which voice the music is calling for from a flute perspective?
Well, in many cases, it's going to be in the concert pitch of C flute. In many cases, they want that type of sound, but in more of orchestral type work or Broadway show type things, it's nice to have a variety of instruments, like the alto flute or even the bass flute, right? Because composers are seeking a certain type of sound from you, so you give them a little taste of what each flute sounds like, and they might say, "Hey, this is the part I want, or this is what I want here," and all that. So everything goes back on my collaboration with the composer and what he or she might want from me for that particular music or musical gathering that she's created.
As you are teaching the students here at Chicago West Community Music Center in this series, Reimagining Jazz, it's one thing to teach them technique. What is it that you want them to understand about breath control as expression and how that impacts their everyday life?
Well, again, it goes back to sound again. One of the interesting things when I first started teaching here 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, a young man who I have, he noticed my armature, and he said the armature is not centered. And that was a fantastic observation. It really was.
Sure.
My mouth position when playing the flute. I'm sorry. Right. So I have what you call the offset armature, which took a long time to perfect and get a real decent sound out of the flute and piccolo and things like that. But he noticed that. But again, my technique or my focus is, once again, sound, being able to breathe correctly, being able to understand. It's so many factors in music. It's the sound, and especially in jazz, when you're choosing a piece of music or something you like, and what we call the jazz literature book or the fate book, that they understand sound again and being patient, and then the form. Everything has a form. Music, it's a formula. When you cook food, there's a formula you're going to use. You're going to add season or black pepper or red pepper and chili or everything. So you want to be able to understand the form of the song that you're interested in learning. So that form could be a blues, 12-bar blues. Could be 32-bar tune. We're working on a tune right now, Uptown Spring by Freddie Hubbard, and C-Jam Blues, which is 12-bar blues. So you really have to be patient. One thing I found with teaching young folk, they want to hurry up and play and get into the clubs and play for the crowd there. And I was telling your man 2-3 weeks ago, that's going to come. You want to know how you get gears. It's going to come. It comes through you making the sacrifices on your instrument. It comes through maybe playing in church, to a spiritual audience, which is real cool. And then, when your sound and technique and it's happening, then people come to you and say, do you play private parties? You do a wedding? You do bar mitzvah? You do all those type of things. And that's where opportunity comes. It came for me. The opportunity came for me to be doing some things in church and for private parties and weddings and things of that sort.
That is amazing. I want to get a little personal. Originality and composition is personal to a musician. You have an album called Missing You, and it holds 9 original compositions, and each one of them has a unique emotional landscape. Okay. So what inspired Missing You, and what story are you telling across that album?
Missing You is my second album, and the first album, which is entitled Playtime, which is a song I wrote for my daughter when I had to babysit and create playtime for her. And that was a great album too. It really was. I had 7 original songs on that album and 2 cover tunes. But the first album was pretty much successful. It really was. And I wanted to have some personal expression and have something I can leave back for my family and my friends and things like that. So I wanted to do an album, become a recording artist. And so going back in the day, I have so many experiences, but I almost got sponsorship from AT&T back before the album came out. But I lost the sponsor. They're going to invest in the album and things like that. So that didn't happen. So what I did, I looked in the mirror and I said, well, you know what? I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest, come up with the money, and I'm going to, get musicians I want to play on Playtime, and then complete that album. And that album was quite successful, really was. I mean, I was in a position, not to be long-winded, in Northwest Indiana, where I was a minority vendor, and I provided entertainment for all the casino boats, Horseshoe, Empress, at that time Majestic Star, Resort, and all that. So being in that position, I was doing private functions, and the CEO and president of Majestic Star Casino was watching me. And I approached him and I said, look, my name is Steve Flowers. I'm interested in providing services for you. And he said, Steve, we've been watching you for a long time. We observe your professionalism, how you carry yourself, your punctuality, starting on time. So I was able to do 2 things. I was able to get a contract with Majestic Star Casino as a minority vendor to provide entertainment. The Supremes and Temptations. I brought all these big groups in, me and my wife. And it was Futuristic Productions. And also, my album just came out, Playtime, the first album. And he did a CD release party at Majestic Star Casino, where the casino bought 300 CDs from me at $15 a CD. How did you do the numbers? And I also, but the only prerequisite was I had to sign the CD, and I had big posters up of Steve Flowers Playtime, and to sign the posters. And from that experience, it just really inspired me to do another album of original music. I wanted to do something original because you had to get permission to do cover songs. As a matter of fact, the person I did a cover song of Sade, Swedish Taboo. It's happening.
Love
Oh
it.
man. Oh man, they played it. Oh God. But again, I didn't get permission and do things like that. But that inspired me to start a new album Missing You, and doing all original music compositions that I wrote, and that's how they came about.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
You know, Chicago West Community Center's mission always places creativity, the mission places creativity back into community on every level. It's community where jazz began, where it's always belonged. So what does it mean to teach jazz to the next generation in the neighborhood where culture lives? And how does this program, this 10-week program, help students hear themselves as part of the community of Black music?
Well, I mean, my head's off to this program when Mr. Sandifer reached out to me. A lot of our youngsters, don't have a chance to listen to jazz. They really do not. And programs like this, gives them an opportunity to explore something different, like jazz and blues, and give them to have their ears open to check other avenues of music, not just hip hop and not just rap and all those type of things, but jazz, which is a sophisticated language. It gives them opportunity to check other things out, other avenues about, and so forth. In terms of this program, I think it's fantastic that this program is going over in this community. When I first arrived coming through this area, there's been a number of years. I currently reside in Northwest Indiana, but coming back into this area, which was part of my upbringing, things have changed in schools. I had no idea. I said, wow, what's going on here? I mean, it was just seeing the community moving forward, moving straight up. And I mean, programs like this, the jazz program, and youngsters, African-American youngsters and Latino are coming for private instruction on Saturdays to learn how to play an instrument. It was very uplifting for me, and things that I said, wow, this is great. I didn't have this in my upbringing. Right, but just to see this and be a part of it, it's really it's a great emotional feeling for me. See what's going on over here in this community.
That's beautiful. I love to see the diversity here at Chicago West Community Music Center. You have Black, white, Latino, and Asian students and faculty members, and high quality.
Yes,
it truly is. I want to thank you for joining us, Steve Flowers. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
This has been Black Muse Podcast with contributing correspondent Doris Davenport. Black Muse Podcast is produced by Chicago West Community Music Center, where Black music lives, grows, and leads us forward. Thank you for joining us.